evening, Dr. Celso. I formally welcome all of you to this session on investment planning. We have finished with financial literacy, and now Dr. Celso will talk about investment planning. Students, please pay attention and learn as much as you can because he's an expert in this field. And also, I'm happy that we have so many student participants today. Please tell your friends if they are serious about attending the certificate course, and their attendance is very important and it's compulsory. And Dr. Celso, as you know, is taking the attendance of all the students and is taking a lot of trouble to organize and to conduct the certificate course. So please take maximum advantage of it, students, and also tell your friends, those who seriously want to complete the course, then attendance has to be there. And strict vigilance will be kept on the attendance by Dr. Celso. So once again, I welcome all of you. And student participants, please do pay attention to Dr. Celso and learn as much as you can from him because it will be beneficial for you alone. Okay, so I request Dr. Celso to please conduct this session, which will go into investment planning. Over to you, Dr. Celso.
Thank you, Madam Christina, and a very good evening to one and all present here today. In fact, today we have quite a good attendance, especially on the Zoom channel. We have approximately around 48, and there are 12 who have come on the YouTube channel live. So you can say currently the attendance is around 60. So I would request all of you all to put in your names on the chat box, as well as those who are on the YouTube channel can put it in the comments box. Add in your name and your which class you all are in, like whether it is FY, BA or SY, BCom, whichever class you are in, so that it becomes easier for us to note down, because we already have on the Google Forms your registration details. So we are keeping track of this attendance, because what happens is this time, since we are actually doing it like over a 15-hour session, we want you all to understand the basics about this investment planning. So we started with the financial literacy part. I'll just have a small recap of all the things, but I would request all of you all to put in your attendance as soon as possible, because after that we're going to start with the program. So the thing is, this financial literacy and investment planning program started on the 5th of October with the first session wherein even a principal had come and given us a warm welcome as well as introduction to this course. And this time it is done totally free of cost. So when we say free, normally people don't add value to it. But this time I said, okay, we'll try it out. But those who have been absent for all these 4 now, their names will be striked off from today. We'll be putting them out of the group, because if you have not attended the first 4 sessions, it doesn't make sense continuing and joining in last minute. So those who have been absent will be removed out. Now, if you have attended at least 1 or 2 sessions, then you can continue in this program. Otherwise, now we will not be allowing anybody else new to join in this program. Even if you join, you can attend it on the YouTube channel and you can watch it this, but no certificate will be given to anyone who is joining new now. So that is the date given. Now, coming to the first session, we did like the story was of the richest man in Babylon and why financial literacy is important. Then the second session, we covered the basic definitions that are there in the financial world, like what is an asset, what is a liability, what is a need, what is a want. Then we also spoke about what is simple interest and compound interest. Then the rule of 72, rule of 114, and the rule of 144. And this type of basic terms and definitions we came across along with the story which we had given during that time. So after that was the third session, which we did on a special session, which was done on Saturday. That was done by a guest speaker, Mr. Ashish Somaya, who is the CEO of Motilal Oswal, on how he spoke. And it was a wonderful session, I should say, on the basics of investing, wherein he explained properly what is the difference between saving and investing, and how if you just do saving, you're actually making a bigger risk with your money as compared to investing. So that was held on Saturday. That was on the 10th of October. Then on the 12th, we did our third session, wherein we learned what are the different asset classes wherein you can invest your money. So we showed all the different asset classes, which was there as per the theoretical part of it. And today, and also we discussed of real rate of returns, how inflation plays a crucial role in calculating your rate of returns. So if your returns don't beat inflation, actually the real rate of returns is negative. So that calculation we showed you last time. And now today we are going to take you through the historical part of it, on how India as a country has changed right from the independence time, that is from 1947 till today, after even with this corona pandemic, how things are changing and how your financial outlook has to change. You cannot be the same what it was 20 years back. Life is changing, everything is changing, and also the financial aspect is changing. So what are these changes that are taking place? This is what we are going to explain to you. And what I've done is I've divided this into somewhere on three phases of India's growth story. So this is basically what we even discussed last time regarding where exactly do the Indians park their money. So there is something what we divided into two types of assets. Those are called physical assets, and there is something what we call it as financial assets. So whenever you have money, where would the people park their money? Most of them initially were putting in the physical assets like house, gold, property, cars. These are called physical assets. Whereas financial assets are again broadly classified into market based, that is the share market and mutual funds, and of course the interest rate based, that is the repo rate based, like banks, post office, PPF or GPF, and insurance policies. These all work on the repo rate, whereas the share market and mutual funds work on the market base, based upon the inflation and based upon the profits that they make. So what is to happen first is we divided the whole history of India from independence into basically four phases. The first phase, I should say, is from 1947 to 1991. The second phase was from 1991 till 2016. And the third phase was from 2016 to till 2020, that is till March 2020, that is before the corona pandemic hit the country and the whole world. And now March 2020 and beyond, what is going to be the situation is what we are going to explain to you in this next 30 minutes. So the first thing I would like to state is this is one definition which you need to learn today. This is something which you have to understand so that you can understand how finances work. So the basic definition which I want you to learn today is what is the definition of repo rate and what is the definition of reverse repo rate. Now, RBI is the institution of the government, which actually is the agency or the organization that prints the currencies. These rupee notes are all printed by RBI. The cash flow is regulated by RBI. RBI is the agency or the central authority which actually deals in the currency of India. Now, whenever RBI lends the money to the bank or the bank wants to take money from RBI, RBI gives a repo rate to the bank for borrowing. So the bank borrows from RBI at a repo rate. That is the rate at which RBI gives to the bank is called repo rate. And if the bank has got excess money and wants to park that money in RBI with RBI, what RBI gives is called as a reverse repo rate. The rate at which the banks can keep the money in RBI is reverse repo rate, and the rate at which banks can borrow from RBI is called as repo rate. So this is basically the function of RBI is to regulate the interest rates based upon inflation and based upon the demand and supply of the goods. So as this repo rate and reverse repo rate were there, so what we have seen is, if you understood this definition, again, I'll revise the same thing. Repo rate is the rate at which banks borrow money from RBI. And reverse repo rate is the rate at which banks can park their money with if they have excessive funds. Like, I'll give you an example. Say, suppose a customer goes and approaches a bank for a loan of 1 crore. So the bank will make a deal with the customer and borrow money from RBI at the repo rate and charge the customer at the interest rate, which will be at least 2 to 3% higher. So that is how they make the profit. So the bank makes the profit by charging at least 2 to 3% above the repo rate. So they borrow the money from RBI and give it to the clients. And based on that, they get the profits. Now, same way, if a client wants to park money in a fixed deposit, the fixed deposit rate will always be like equivalent to what the RBI gives them. So automatically that money, if it is in excess, If in case there are no loan takers, if people are not taking loans and the bank has got a huge credit, in the sense a lot of money has come in, then they park it with RBI as a temporary basis. And RBI gives a reverse repo rate to the banks. So this is how the banks and RBI work together, and this is called the monetary policy. So now what has happened in the first phase, when we notice, that is from 1947 right up till 1991, India at that time was actually a very, very poor country. Jobs were very few, economy was very low, and at that time, India needed money. So when the country is poor, normally the interest rates are high. So at that time, the repo rate of RBI used to be more than 18%. Sometimes it even touched 21%. And PPF was offering 22% returns in from 1950 when it started till almost around 1980. The interest rate was almost around 22%. So keeping money in the banks, keeping money in PPF was really worth it, because at that time inflation was not very high. Inflation, there was no much development happening in India. So automatically the rate of inflation was low and the income levels were also very low. And the below poverty line population at that time was almost over 60%. So the country was really struggling. So we were actually trying to recover the goods and we had to create jobs. A lot of things came. And this is the time when actually the country was really, really poor. So many people used to move abroad. Many people tried migrating out because there were no jobs, there was no opportunity, nothing in India as well. And India was really rated like a poor country. But then what changed? In 1991 was the major change that took place. At that time, Manmohan Singh was the finance minister in the Congress government. And they came out with one policy, what we call it as liberalization policy, wherein foreigners or foreign companies were allowed to come and invest in India and collaborate with the Indian companies with a maximum share of 49% up to 49% of the share of that company. So many foreign companies, like say, for example, Suzuki tied up with Maruti. So Maruti, Suzuki started, then Hindustan Unilever, like that many companies joined together and most of the foreign companies started coming into India. So the moment the companies started coming into India, the job creation was higher. So the salaries also started picking up and physical assets were very cheap. You mean like what I used to say, like in 1984, I can give an example. Even we had bought, my parents had bought a 3 BHK, I mean 3-bedroom flat in Margao, right at the center, by paying just 80,000 rupees. 80,000 was the price of the flat in Margao in 1984. That is when I was doing my SSC, means my 10th standard. And I still remember the price because I still have that sale paper. The sale deed is there. And in that, we had to pay cash of around 40,000 rupees additional. So it came to around 1,10,000, but a flat of 3 BHK with 100 square meters area. Now, the same flat which we bought for that time today is almost going now for 1 crore. And that is the appreciation that it has created over the last so many years. So liberalization brought in more jobs, brought in more money, and that time physical assets were very cheap. So people at that time started investing a lot into real estate, properties, and even gold, because all this money was usually unaccounted. So cash could be invested only in real estate and gold. So the best way to avoid tax was to invest into properties and also to invest into gold and accumulate it. So at that time, physical assets were more in demand rather than financial assets. Financial assets, yes, it was done in the form of savings because at that time, even the interest rates were quite attractive. In the sense, we used to get almost 12% on PPF, as well as the fixed deposits used to give us 12, sometimes even 18% we were getting in 1984 and even 1990. We used to get 18% interest on the fixed deposits. So that time, the rate of interest was very high. So keeping money in the bank was favorable because inflation was not that high. So this was like how it was to be during the second phase. So there was a lot of black money because many people, especially businesses, professionals, nobody was actually filing income tax except for the salary class. And you won't imagine the total population of India filing income tax returns was not even 1%. And then the collection from income tax also was very low, except for some from sales tax. Then we used to get from excise tax, then capital good tax, then wealth tax. There were different types of things, and it was all made into complicated thing. So many of them were actually avoiding tax. So during this phase, India started growing slightly slowly. The stock market started picking up. And exactly till 2016, there was a lot of money flowing in the market. Then we go to the third stage, that is on the 8th of November 2016. Suddenly, the whole country shook when the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi declared demonetization, wherein he said, from tonight, all the 500 rupee notes and 1000 rupee notes will have no value. So we are giving you just 2 months period to please hand over all that cash to the banks, and you can take that in the form of currency of the other notes of 2000 or any other currency denomination. But the notes of 500 and 1000 were totally demonetized, in the sense there's no value for it. So with this one decision, with one historic decision, many people who had a lot of cash stored in their houses or in the form of unaccounted money, a lot of money started flowing back to the banks. And the inflow into the banks was so high that automatically the interest rates had to be brought down. So interest rates started falling from the date of demonetization, and it came down to almost from 12% to 8%. And this was in 2016. And a lot of black money which was there had to be brought back into the system, and that is how they actually managed to get them into the system of even paying tax for it. So many of them who had not paid tax had to pay tax and declare their black money and convert it into white money. Similarly, soon after that, there was this introduction of RERA. RERA is basically a regulation for the real estate, wherein today, if you want to buy any property or any flat or even a plot, you have to, the builder has to register under RERA, and his whatever rates he charges has to be declared first with the collector office. He has to get approval, and then only he can sell. And no person is allowed to buy any property or land without filing returns of 2 years. So automatically the rules started becoming more and more strict. So because of that, and because of demonetization, suddenly the real estate demand started going. So instead of investing into physical assets, from 2016, the whole shift started becoming into the financial assets. So more and more money started coming into the banks. More and more money started coming into insurance products, as well as into the mutual funds. Because now these are financial assets as compared to physical assets. Because now to buy a physical asset, you had to file returns. If you want to buy even gold more than 50,000 rupees, you needed to show your PAN card. So without your PAN card, you were not allowed. So this rule started coming in 2017. And in 2018, another big judgment was passed by the parliament, wherein GST was introduced, that is goods and services tax. So all the indirect taxes were clubbed under one head under GST. And now what happens is GST is basically the tax that you pay on your expenses. And in GST, there are no categories. Everybody pays equal. Only thing, there are different types of GST slabs. And the thing is very easy to understand. If you're buying anything that is perishable, like food stuff, medicines, which are daily use material, the GST is zero, which means 90% of the goods, GST is 0%. But if you take something which is going to last for you, say for at least a month's time, those goods are mostly charged at 4% GST. And things which are going to be lasting for more than 1 year, like electronic goods, then whatever services you're taking, which are luxury type, it is 18% GST. So here what happens now is the entire population is paying tax. Whereas in income tax, which you were paying on your income, not even 1% of population was paying. Whereas on GST, it is 100% population paying. And let me tell you, now even if you read today's paper, the total GST collection per month is crossing more than 1 lakh crores per month. So 1 lakh crores is coming as an income to the country. And this income is actually given back to the states. Like Goa today got a grant of 25,000 crores. So this is also like how you get the grants come to the states, and with this, the development activities start. So automatically the infrastructure development takes place. And that is how you'll see now from the last 2 years, the number of roads, airports, highways, electricity, power, all these development projects have just increased. And that is how with the GST, the whole country is changing now. But the only thing is now everybody has to pay tax. So you go to any luxury restaurant, you will have to pay tax on GST. So this is another thing which has affected after 2016, that started in 2018. And now automatically the interest rate started falling. Until last year, the repo rate, which the Reserve Bank of India was giving to the banks, had touched somewhere around 5.15%. And today, with this lowering of the interest rates, automatically the savings into the financial instruments also, especially the ones which are interest rate linked, have lost its charm. And now everybody wants to go into the market link. But before going into the market link products like the mutual funds and shares, you need to learn it before going, because there is a risk involved. So how to avoid this risk is what we are going to teach you in the future sessions. But today is just an introduction. Now what happens after this is, exactly during the month of March, or I should say 24th of March, was the first day the lockdown was imposed. And because of this COVID-19 pandemic nationwide, first the government declared 21 days lockdown till the 31st of March 2020 was the first phase where everything was totally closed. So all the activities, all the transportation, all businesses, everything was shut down. So for the first this was like to avoid the pandemic of COVID-19. And then with this, even RBI took some measures and they brought down the repo rate to 4.4%. So which means even the bank interest rates dropped down to 5.5. And of course, the reverse repo rate was brought down to less than 4%. And with this, RBI even told the banks that try and reduce your interest rates on loans, and especially on home loans, and also the corporate loans. So with that, the interest rates have started coming down. And because the interest rates have started coming down, it has been a big saving for companies who have been taking big loans. Because even 1% interest rate drop makes a big difference as far as the expenditure is concerned. Because the maximum expense what a company can go through is actually paying high interest rates. So now the interest rates have dropped down, and still the lockdown has not eased up, because in the first phase, of course, even the stock market fell by almost 40%. Sensex had fallen from 42,000 to 25,000, and everybody panicked. But people who are investors and who had faith in India are the ones who actually took the advantage of this fall. And taking this advantage, they always say that these changes or these corrections or these happenings which happen are always temporary. And from my experience, I have seen, being in the stock market for the last 14 years now, I have seen, yes, many wars have happened, many diseases have come in India, but still India is growing. India will keep growing. And that is how now, with the interest rate falling down, the preference now for everybody to park their money from real estate, from gold, then from fixed deposits, now has started going into mutual funds as well as stock market in the form of shares. So now everybody started to learn what shares. So the entire scenario as far as the financial world is concerned is totally changing. And that is how now, if we don't keep ourselves updated on what is happening around, where exactly people are parking their money, what is the way to make money grow, you will not be able to understand this. So now, as far as the unlock period is concerned, on 1st of June 2020, the first unlocking took place, wherein some of the essential items like restaurants, some of them will allow to open. And then after the unlock 2 was there in July, then unlock 3 in August. And now in the month of October, it's almost reached to unlock 5 now, where even theaters and malls are allowed to start operational. Even the trains have started moving. Interstate buses have started moving. So transportation is coming back to normal. And now I feel that by the time another, say, 2 or 3 months, everything should come back to normal the day the vaccine comes and we are able to control this pandemic. So whatever these incidents happen, these are actually some opportunities for others, threats for some. So those who take it as an opportunity are the ones who actually make great results out of it. But if you try to take it as what I should say, as an opposite of it, like a threat, then automatically you start losing the interest in this. And that is how you don't understand much about finances. So let me explain to you like how it happened as far as the share market is concerned. Now, say for example, in Sensex, if you see here, the highest we had gone in the month of January was almost around 41,306. This was the Sensex reading as on 1st January 2020. When the coronavirus hit, the drop went down to almost around 25,000 here. This was a huge drop. And many people panicked because their values in their funds and the mutual fund and shares dropped down. But the moment it dropped, immediately, not even within 1 month, the recovery started. And this recovery started very, very fast. And within 6 months, we have almost reached the back to the law where we have reached. And I'm quite sure that now, more than the recovery, we might even go much higher than that by the next year once the economy recovers. And today, India has become the soft corner for the entire world, because on one side, China has become like an enemy for everyone, especially the US, wherein the maximum investment pours in is from USA. So USA has stopped making doing any much investments in China, as well as now India has come out with a new policy called Atmanirbhar. And in this policy, Prime Minister Modi has made it very clear to all the companies who are sending their goods to India, means who are exporting their goods to India, is to start their own plants over here in India. They will not allow things which are manufactured outside of India. So if a company wants to actually sell its products in India, it should start its own manufacturing plant in India. This is the new policy which has been taken by the government of India, and they are encouraging all these foreign companies to start their industries in India and provide job employments to the locals. So with this, the economy has to improve, and with more of jobs creation and the more of production and the sale which happens, automatically the economy will grow. So the only option left for now people to invest their money is basically into the financial assets. And with the interest rates coming down, the only option left now is to actually invest in places where the returns can beat inflation. And if you check and see which other instrument can give a beat inflation, there is no other instrument other than your own businesses. So you either start your own business and get returns higher than 10 to 20%, or you can invest in somebody else's business and they work for you and share the profits with you. And this is basically what we call it as the share market. So looking at this, now the demand for financial assets in the form of mutual funds and shares has increased. So now from the next session onwards, we'll be actually taking you more into the in-depth knowledge with regards to mutual funds as well as shares. And for this, I'm very, very happy to say that we will be having an external trainer from Mumbai, Mr. Tejas Thakur. He is basically the national trainer for Kotak Mutual Fund. So he is preparing exactly 4 sessions for you for the next week, which is going to be in next 2 weeks, wherein each and every detail about functioning, how does a mutual fund function, what are the different types, how to select, what are the different types of returns that they have given, what are the benefits of SIPs, all those topics will be covered up. And this is only for those who have attended at least one session in these 4. So the first 4 sessions were basically the foundation to this course. Now we will be actually going into the details about it, about the stock market as well as the mutual funds. And later on, then it will be covering up all the types of insurances. So with this, we'll try and cover up the entire thing about financial literacy as well as investment planning. And the last will be, of course, the 5 golden rules that the rich follow and how easy it is to grow rich in India. So that will be a way of how to handle it. So what I would request each one of you all now is, I would just like to put up one small question with regards to the previous events that we have had. And just try and let's see how many of you all can actually answer this question. Okay, now, as per the last session, these are the questions. I want you to put your answers either on YouTube or on the chat box. What are the 4 factors that determine on where we should park our money? Like when, say, suppose by chance, I have 1 lakh of rupees and I want to invest it. So what are the 4 factors that I have to look at while investing this 1 lakh of rupees? This was done in session number 2 and session number 3. So let me see how many of you all have actually still remembered and revised the session. And these sessions are all there uploaded on the YouTube channel. You can watch it even later. And let me tell you, there are many, many people watching these videos. Like say, for example, session 3 has already crossed more than 180 views, which means there are people from outside your class who are not in your college who are still very much interested. And from the the next session, we will be inviting people, other students from other colleges also to join us. But for them, there's no certificate, of course, but they will be watching the videos even later because they will not be watching live most of it, and especially not on Zoom. On the YouTube, there might be people who are coming live on YouTube because now it's a event which is totally open. So from the next session, we'll be having more people attending from outside. So I wish that all of y'all who have attended so far, And if I tell you, out of the 150 who have registered, we have 70 of y'all who are eligible, approximately 70 who are eligible, which means 80 people have not attended even one session. Okay, not 80, some you can say slightly less, around 70 have not attended. So all the 70 who have registered and not attended a single session, I'll be able to get the list by today evening. These people will not be eligible for the certificates anymore. And we are not taking any more new registrations because now we are going to start with serious matter. The first 4 sessions were just to see whether you're really interested in learning or not. So those who are actually really interested in learning and want to start investing, they are the ones who will be selected now to go in for the next module. That is the second module, which is going to be regarding mutual funds as well as the share market and how to invest in shares. And another good news I would like to tell you is that this time we have 5 of our flip graduates of last year's. The last year's batch, we had almost 69 students who had passed. And out of the 69, about 8 of them have actually joined this batch. And 8 of them, out of 8, 5 of them have already started investing here and they can be as role models here. So what we have done is we have trained them in the last 1 week on how to start opening Demat accounts. Because this time we want them to go to you and so that you don't have the trouble of traveling to Panjim or even going to Ponda office or traveling any other place to open your Demat, because most of the people are not able to start investing because there are no facilities available. So now we are giving you the door side services in the sense they're going to be there at your place, like those who are staying in Marcel, Old Goa, Diwar and all. We have our interns, 5 of them, whose names I will be putting on the group. These are the interns who have actually completed flip training last year and are eligible now to go to the module 2, wherein they can start opening Demat accounts. So they will be calling you up, like those who have already the documents, all the 3 documents. We had done a meeting yesterday, so we allotted the names to them. So they will be calling you up and helping you by reaching out to you to open your free Demat account so that you are free to actually start investing from the month of, I should say, November. So by November, if we manage to open this Demat accounts, it will be good that at least you have the hands-on practical knowledge on how to start investing. And let me tell you, all the students who started last year are very, very lucky, especially when they invested during this lockdown. Because during the lockdown, they got these units at a very, very low price, and they've really started seeing the profits out of it within the last 6 months. So they were very lucky to get this phase of corona pandemic, wherein it helped actually in accumulating more units so that they can start making good profits out of it. So I'm still telling you, there's a huge opportunity for you all to start investing small amounts when you're in college. So these interns will get in touch with you. I will put the names of all the interns on the group who have been selected and who have got permission to start opening Demats and who have undergone the training. So these, you can contact any one of them, whoever you feel are close to you, and you can get started as far as opening your Demat accounts are concerned. Now, those who don't have a PAN card, Megan is following up with you, calling you up and trying to get the PAN cards done as soon as possible. The only issue we have is with some of them who don't have their Aadhaar linked to the mobile. So that also we are trying to search for a solution on how to get your mobile number linked to your Aadhaar card. So if your mobile is not linked, then you have to open your Demat through biometric, for which you will have to go to the office and do it. But if your mobile is linked, it can be done through an OTP. So it becomes very easy as far as opening the Demat account is concerned. And we want all of you all to open this Demat accounts because for the first 1 year, there are no charges at all except bank mandate, which the bank charges you to register your mandate to do your online transaction. That is a one-time registration charge from the bank. And this charge depends on which bank you do it, because each bank has got their own rules. But from our side, it is totally free. Now, only from the second year onwards, if you wish to continue, means if you want to continue and find the services proper, then we will pay an annual fee of 100 rupees if your amount is less than 1 lakh. And if it's above 1 lakh, it is 300 rupees per year. This is the annual maintenance charges, which is the lowest in India, because all the banks charge on an average 500 rupees per month, per year. So that we are charging just 300. That is also from the second year onwards. First year is totally free. There are no charges in the first year. So if in case you are interested in opening and getting your investment started, we can contact these interns whose names I will share on the group. You can get in touch with them and they will provide you like a doorstep service. I mean, they are very close. They are usually from your area only. So you can meet up with them and they can get the things done. Okay, so I hope you all have started answering these questions. Yes, very good. I can see many of you all have answered. Chat box now. Let's see how many of you all have put the correct answers. Yes, there are quite a few. Yeah, very good. And these are the ones who have really understood the concept about what are the factors involved in this. As far as investing is concerned, there are many of you all, because I can't keep track because I'm looking at both the YouTube as well as Zoom. So at the end of the day, I will go through it and I will actually give you all the feedbacks by the evening time. By the time on the group, everything will be shared. Now, on this Saturday, again, we'll be having another Saturday digital schooling. The topic I'm still yet to finalize, because these schoolings which happen on Saturday are national programs. In the sense, there are more than 30,000 participants from all over India attending it. And fortunately, last Saturday, I was surprised, we had around 110 of you registering for the program, but attendance was just somewhere around 31, 32. Others have watched it afterwards, because I sent the link on the YouTube to you all. You all could watch it later, but the live attendance was just around 31 students from your college who attended it. And I'm really happy that these are the ones who are actually very much interested. And I'm 100% sure they learned a lot. Because I say this because even when Siddhi shared her learnings, I myself learned a lot after reading her this. Because I could see that when you share your learnings, you yourself start becoming better. So always try to share as far as possible your learnings, because the more you teach, the more you learn. And that is how actually, this is from my experience, I've seen even in this financial services, because I've been conducting all these classes regularly for different colleges, that is how I can say I'm actually improving myself. But there's never stopping as far as learning is concerned, because we always learn something new every time. And through experience, we see one idea can change your life totally. So what I would suggest to all of you all now is, this time, if you can take some, I hope all of you all have subscribed to our YouTube channel and clicked on the bell notification. Because if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe it immediately. And very soon, within the next week, we are preparing for a great event which we are doing in the month of November, especially trying to club it with Children's Day. But unfortunately, this time Children's Day and Diwali are on the same day. So we will try and work out on that, wherein we are going to have a full-fledged national program like how we did the Super Young Achievers Conclave. On 2nd October, we had an attendance of over 800 college students on 2nd October for a Super Young Achievers Conclave. And this was a gathering of almost 18 colleges. So this time, we will try and do something in the month of November. So I wish that all of you all subscribe to our YouTube channel. And this time, I don't know if you have watched that Udaan Series 1, that if you have not watched this video, Udaan Series 1, please watch it, because it will help you to shine like an eagle and to find yourself that you can be a shining star. And today I would request you, after doing this lecture, please watch this video, Make Inflation Your Friend. It's a very, very good video, and it will help you build up confidence for the next sessions, which we are going to start from next week. So Make Inflation Your Friend. I will send a link on the group. You can watch it anytime in the evening or in the night, whenever you have time. You can watch that video. You'll learn a lot of things from that video. So one thing I should say, that because of this pandemic, we have gone more digital, and this has helped us reach more number of people, and we can actually connect with many more through our YouTube channel. So a very big thank you once again for all the participants present over here, and looking forward for your 100% participation in the future programs. I will keep you intimated about the program on Saturday, because the speaker is yet to be finalized, because it's a national program. The moment it's finalized, I will send you the invite. And on next week, the Monday session is going to be taken by another trainer, special with the one, because what happens is, what I feel is, listening to one speaker continuously doesn't make sense. So there has to be variety. Like they say, variety is a spice of life. So when you get a different trainer, automatically you learn something different. And I will always be there. It's not that I won't be there. But when you learn from someone else, you'll get some additional information, and he will be actually speaking to us live from Mumbai. So he will be live from Mumbai, and these will be 4 sessions. The next 4 are going to be taken by him. There will be only one change. In the next week, instead of on the Wednesday, it will have to be done on Thursday. Just because of his schedule, he has requested, but he has still not finalized, but most probably it will be on Thursday instead of Wednesday in the next week. So just note down, but we will keep you informed at least 3 to 4 days prior. So by Saturday, the whole program for the next 2 weeks will be finalized with the topics, everything. So this people, all the ones who have participated in any, means in these past 4 programs, definitely are eligible for the certificate. So please try and see to it that you mark your calendar and don't miss the future programs. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can type it on the chat box now, or in case there are no questions, then we can actually close for today, and you can share the questions on the group also, on the WhatsApp group. You can share, you can put in your questions. I'll definitely try to answer it as soon as possible. Okay, so any comments from the teachers, from the staff? Madam Christina, are you here?
Yes, Dr. Celso, I'm there.
So can you, once any other lecture professor is attending today?
Yeah, I think Sharmila is there on the group.
Okay, any feedback, any learnings? Okay, 1 second. Yeah, okay, I think I've not, this, I'll have to search 1 second. Yeah, okay. Okay, I've made her also the co-host. Now you can actually speak. You can unmute your mic. Yeah, Madam Sharmila, you're already unmuted. Means I've made you the co-host. So if you can give any feedback about the session today is on the great financial revolution India has gone through. Okay, since there's no response, and there is some connectivity issue, I think. So I think we can close the session for today, and looking forward now to your full participation for the future programs. I'll keep you intimated on the group as far as the next session on Saturday is concerned. And of course, next week's schedule, I will be putting it up on the group. So thank you once again for attending this, and thank you for sharing your answers on the chat box as well as on the YouTube the comment section. And what I would request each one of you is, if you have any friends outside the college, please forward these videos to them so that they also can learn them. Because even one video, if they listen and they learn something new, it is basically you who are sharing your knowledge with them. So I would request you to share the videos with all your friends and actually try to propagate this financial literacy all across, especially in the villages. Because I'm 100% sure if the villagers come to know about this financial revolution, automatically they also will start getting aware that now keeping money in the banks or keeping money in financial assets which are based on the interest rates, like even in insurance policies which are giving very low rate of returns, these they have to be made aware of. So you all need to be like ambassadors. You all need to start going and speaking to others. Speak to your parents. Make your parents aware about it, because most of your parents are not even aware about this. So you can be like an ambassador for Navemar, wherein you spread financial literacy across in your village or in your area. Because I'll tell you, financial literacy rates in Panjim and Margao are slightly on the higher side, but village areas, most of people are still not aware about this. Most of people, they don't know where exactly to park their money. So if you can be like an ambassador, because if you teach one, you learn more. So try and speak to your friends, share the YouTube videos, ask them to subscribe, and they can even watch this anytime. The videos are uploaded on our YouTube channel. They can watch it anytime. So the more they view it, and there are many videos which are very interesting. There are even for personality development, there are videos there like on public speaking, then how to be a magical parent, how to be a magical teacher. These videos are tremendous, terrific. You can watch them and see how you can achieve success in life. So I'd request all of you all to subscribe to the YouTube channel and try and get maximum views on it. Okay, so thank you once again, and I'm stopping the sharing over here.
Dr. Celso, before we wind up, I want to thank you very much for giving us, taking us through the journey of financial revolution in India. I'm sure it must have been very, very interesting for the students. We teach them part of it, but the way you have put it across to the students, I'm sure that they will remember the financial revolution that India has gone through right from the time of independence to now. the big changes have taken place in both in the money market and in the capital markets too.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to
Okay.
your session on either Wednesday or Thursday next week.
No, but the first one is on Saturday, and then after that for next week. That Saturday program is a value addition program, because that
Okay.
is a national program where our participants can join. Okay, and another small announcement I would like to make. I have actually left the set of 6 books that I have written, all story books. It was actually handed over to Mahesh sir in the means before the lockdown, because of the flip graduates who wanted that time we had started this FIRE program. So if any of y'all loves reading stories and want to learn about financial literacy, these books today I've spoken to Mahesh sir. He has handed over to Madam Christina. So these 6 books are available at a price of rupees 100 only, means 100 rupees for 6 books. So why we have kept the prices? Only so that there is value for it. So if any of y'all actually want to read the books, you can either contact Mahesh sir or Madam Christina, and the set of books are available in the college. Or you can coordinate and give it wherever you can make the point of contact. You can actually see in the college where you can keep them, like in the library or wherever you find in the laboratory. Might be any place wherein all the students who are actually really interested can just pay rupees 100. That comes to the Navimar Foundation, and with that you'll get a set of 6 books, and these 6 books have got more than 150 stories. And these are all real lifetime stories of Goans itself, on those who have actually achieved financial success and what are the mistakes that people do. So on this, there are stories written, and these books like the 10 Financial Commandments, the stories on FIRE are very, very interesting. So if you want, you can pick up the books from the college. They are over there, but only thing is they're not available free now there, because the thing is we just want to actually have some value for it. Otherwise, it's just like everyone just takes it. So we have kept 50 sets in your college. So whoever is interested can pick up the sets from the college. Yeah. So thank you once again, and looking forward to seeing you all for the next session. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Celso.